In this video, we're going to look at the activity where you're required to create two forms for the letting agency database. This is part B of the exam, and in part B you get a new task scenario. Let's just have a quick read through. Mason & Thompson Letting Agency has partially developed a database that will eventually merge with the database you created in part A. The letting agency has a branch in many towns across the UK. Each branch has a manager. A manager can manage more than one branch. Property owners register at a branch. Owners can have from 1 to 10 properties. Owners rent out their properties. Owners pay the agency a monthly property fee, and the database will record information about property owners and branches. And as usual, we have the note. The structure of the tables provided should not be changed in any way. For example, do not add validation or do not change the data types. You will be required to use all the tables. As usual, with this Part B exam, there are two forms to be created. The first one is a straightforward input form requiring some validation of the input and use of macros to validate the input. Let's have a look at this first form. We need to create an efficient interface that will facilitate database input by producing 1. An input form to add an owner. The form should be ready for data entry. The user should be able to select a branch. The owner's surname and branch ID must be present. The number of properties must be within the specified range, which was given in the task scenario. Valid data should be appended to the owner table and a save message displayed. A suitable error message should appear where invalid data has been used. It's a good idea before you start just to have a quick look at the table, TBL owner, just to get an idea of the data that's going to be entered. So we've got an owner ID, owner email, owner telephone number, owner surname, the branch ID, and the number of properties. It's also a good idea to have a look at the relationships between the tables. We're going to be entering data for TBL owner, and you can see it's got a one-to-many relationship with TBL branch. So that branch ID we can get from TBL branch. And if we just have a quick look at TBL owner in design view as well, we can see that owner ID is auto number, so that will be automatically created when the user is entering data. And we've got some data types: email short text, telephone number short text, owner surname short text, branch ID is a number, that's the foreign key one, and number of properties is number. Let's start creating the form. Going on to create, and we're going to use the form wizard. And here we're going to select the table that we want our form for, and in this case it's TBL owner, and we want all the selected fields. We can leave it as columnar. Always use FRM as a prefix for your forms. Owner input, and then finish. And here we have our basic form, and we're going to carry out some formatting features, make some changes to one or two of the controls, and we're also going to create the macro, put on a button, and that will carry out the validation. 4 things I'm going to do to the form before I start with any formatting. I'm going to set it to data entry. I'm going to take off the record selectors. I'm going to take off the navigation buttons, and I'm going to take off the scroll bars, and these can all be done in the form's properties. Data entry, yes. Navigation buttons, no. Record selectors, no. And scroll bars, neither. The next thing I'm going to do is some formatting. I'm going to change the title of the form. I'm going to change the background colour of the form header. I'm going to improve the labels. They're just fields at the minute. I need some spaces in between the words to make them more user-friendly. And I'm going to resize these controls so they're more appropriate for the data that's going into them. Now I'm going to change the font colour. I'm going to make the labels bold. And I'm going to put on some lines and some instructions to the user. The next thing I'm going to do is enable Know the owner ID, because the user should not be able to enter anything into the owner ID as it is an auto number control. You'll notice the owner ID is being greyed out now, and that indicates that the user can't enter anything into that control. The next change I'm going to make is to the branch ID, and I'm going to make this a combo box and pick up the branch IDs from TBL branch. So right mouse click, and let me just drag this down a bit so you can see. We're selecting change to and combo box. We can now go onto the data tab and go into the row source and select where we want our branch ID to come from. We want it from TBL branch, and we want the branch ID. You will need to save. Let's just have a look at the form now and see what we've got so far. So in terms of colour, limited colour, got a good title, we've got some good labels that are clear, and we've got some fields that are more appropriately sized. If we click on the branch ID, we can select a branch ID from the combo box. The next change I'm going to do is draw on the button, save the record. So I've gone up to controls, and I've just switched off use of control wizards. Otherwise it'll bring up the wizard for the button when we draw it on, and I don't want that. I just want to be able to draw a button on. You'll right mouse click on the button now, and again just let me drag this down so you can see better. So I'm doing a right mouse click on the button, and we're going to build event, and we're going to use the macro builder. We're now in macro design, and let's just have a quick reminder. We've got 3 things we need to validate. 1, the surname must be present. 2, the branch ID must be present. And then thirdly, the number of properties must be not less than 1 and not greater than 10. So we start off with an if, and we're going to use is null, close the bracket, and then if that is null, we need a message box. Owner surname must be entered, and put a title, standard title on your message boxes. Then we've got an else if, and we're going to use is null again, this time the branch ID, close the bracket. Again, if that's null, we need a message box. Branch ID must be selected. Again, that standard title. Then we've got another else if, and this time we are checking the number of properties. So a message box, and again the title of the message box. The next thing is to add an else, and what we're going to do is save the record. Let's just say we need a message box because it says display a message when the record's saving. Owner record is saving, and then title of the box, something like save record. And then finally, just to make sure, we go on to a new form. When we've saved our record, we're going to add another action, and that will be go to record. And just check it's on record next, and that will go to the next blank record. Close the macro and save it. Now in the form view for the form, and I'm going to test the validation. So let's just key in an email address and a telephone number. Let's leave the surname blank and try saving the record. Owner surname must be present, that's fine. Let's put a surname in now, and this time try saving without a branch ID. Again, the branch ID must be selected, and the number of properties, let's put in -1. That's fine. And let's put in 11. Again, not saved because it's outside the range. And let's change this now to an appropriate number, and we should have the save record message displayed. Just to finish off the form then, I've added the asterisk, the red asterisk, to the controls that require the user to enter data. And that finishes the owner input form now. The next thing is to move on to the second form. We're now ready to look at the second form. This is an input form to update the property management fee for a branch. The form should not include validation for any fields. The form should not include an automatic routine to save the data. The user should be able to select the branch address. These details should then be displayed: the town, the manager's surname, the property management fee. The user should be able to input the percentage of potential increase for the property management fee as a whole number, for example 3. These details should be displayed: the new management fee including an increase, the yearly income generated from the new management fee. Now, it's not very clear that yearly income, if it's just for a property or if it's for all properties for the branch. So I'm just going to take that as just being a fee for a property. Just having a quick look here in the relationship window. The tables we're going to use are going to be TBL branch, because we need the address, the branch ID, the town and the property management fee. I'm also going to be using TBL branch manager for 2 reasons. One, the status we need to look at, and I'll show you that in a minute when we look at the data. And then we also need the manager's surname. So we need 3 tables. If we just have a look at TBL branch manager, you'll notice for branch number 1, we've got 2 managers, one that's no longer a manager and one that's current. So I suggest if we do any selecting, we just need the current managers when we're looking for the manager surname. So we're going on to create, and this time we're going to use form design. And I'm going to put on the controls and the labels and do a little bit of formatting before I do anything else. Here's the form in form design. I put on the title, some instructions to the user, and I've put on the controls select branch address and input percentage potential increase. And I've put those together because that's where the user's going to be inputting data. Then put in a line. Then below the line I've shown the controls that are going to be displayed once the branch is selected and the increase is entered. The next thing I'm going to do is change this select branch address into a combo box. And I'm also going to set it up so that it's like doing a query. And in that query, it's going to have the branch town, the manager surname, and the property management fee. And I will format that control just to display the address so that the user can just select the branch address. So right mouse click, and we're going to change to combo box. And if we get the property sheet up and go into the row source and build. So here we can actually create our query. So what do we need? We need the branch ID, so that's in TBL branch. We need the branch address, that's in TBL branch as well. We need the branch town, that's there in TBL branch. Now we need the manager surname, and the manager surname is in TBL manager. And we also need the property management fee, and there's the property management fee. Notice we've got no connecting line showing the relationship between these 2 tables. We need one in between, and that's TBL branch manager. We also need this table in because we need to check the status of the manager. We only want the managers that are current. Let's put the fields into the query now. We need the branch ID, the branch address. We need the branch town, and we need the property management fee. We also need the manager surname, where the status is current. So we put current manager in the criteria. And if we just have look at the results of that query, you can see we've got all the branches, 1 to 10, the addresses, the towns, we've got the property management fee, and we've also got the manager surname for those branches. And you notice, like for example, branch 1, that's had 2 managers, but one's not current. So we've only got that one entry for branch ID 1, which has got a current manager, Broderick. You'll notice they're all current manager in the status. Just something I want to point out to you at this stage. We're going to be referring to these columns in this query design, and we refer to them by number. They're numbered from 0 from the left here to the right. So the branch ID will be column 0, branch address will be column 1, town will be column 2, property management will be column 3, and the manager surname will be column 4. And you'll see that in action. We actually start formatting the combo box, and when we actually start getting the data from the query. Let's just close that and save. And then I'm just going to go to the property sheet for the combo box, and I'm going to set up the columns. At the moment we've only got 1 column, and I'm going to set this up as 5 columns and the width of the columns to be displayed in the drop down. 2 things I'm going to do to this control. Firstly, I'm going to give it a name because we're going to be referring to it. So I'm going to call it CBO branch address. And the other thing I need to do is change the column. We've got a column count of 1 at the minute. If I change that to a column count of 5, and then give the column widths of what I want displaying in the drop down. The first column had the branch ID. I don't want that displaying, so I'm going to set that at 0. And we've got the branch address, and I want that, so I'm going to set that at 2 centimetres. And I want another column of 0 because I don't want anything else displaying, and another one of 0 because I don't want that one displaying, and finally another 0. So you can see we've got our 5 columns here. The first one's 0, second column I want 2 centimetres. Let me just press enter on that. The third column I don't want displaying, so that's 0. The fourth column I don't want displaying, so that's 0. The fifth column I don't want displaying either, so that's 0. Just have a look at that in form view. And if we click on the down arrow, you can see we've just got the addresses displayed. Let's go back to design view. I'm now ready to get the data from that query to display in the controls on the form. So let's have a look at this first one, branch town. Let's go to the control source for it and click on the build. This is going to be equals CBO branch address, then a full stop, and then column, and in bracket the column from the query. And the branch town was in column 2, so that's 2, and then enter. Let's just go back and have a look at that in form view, and yes, if we change the address, the branch town is changing, so that's fine. Back to design view. Now the manager surname, and that's similar. We're going to go to the control source, build. This is going to be equals CBO branch address, column, button bracket, and the manager was in column 4. That's a 4. OK. Let's do the property management fee as well. Same sort of thing, control source and build. And the management fee was in column 3. And OK. Now we're in the form. If I change the branch, you can see that the branch town, the surname and the management fee changing also. Before I go any further, I'm going to name some of these controls because I need to refer to them in the calculations. So this percentage potential increase, I'm going to name EXT increase. The property management fee control, I'm going to name EXT prop man fee. The increase in property management fee, I'm going to name TXT prop man fee, and the new property management fee. I'm not sure if we need to name that. I will name it. So let's call that TXT new prop man fee. So let's do this first calculation. This increase in property management fee is going to be the property management fee by potential increase. If we go to the row source and go to the expression builder, and in here we're going to put equals TXT property management fee times by TXT pot increase and divided by 100 because it's a percentage. Okay, let's go to the form. Got a potential increase of 10, that's 10%, remember. Got a property management fee of £207, therefore 10% is £20.70. The next control is the new property management fee, and for this we're going to add the increase in property management fee to property management fee. So let's go to the control source and expression builder. TXT property management fee plus TXT increase property management fee. Here you can see we had £207 plus £20.70, which is £220.70. And this last calculation, we've assumed it's the yearly income per property. So that property management fee is a monthly fee. So multiply the new property management fee by 12, that will give us the yearly income per property. Again, go to the control source, build TXT new property management fee times by 12, and OK. Let's just have a look at our form. The final thing I need to do is just format these controls that are money into currency so that displays better. 3 controls that are on the form, this increase in property management fee, the new property management fee, yearly income per property, can be formatted using the property sheet and format currency. The property management fee, because this has come from a query, we're going to have to format that slightly differently. If we go to the control source and the build, we're going to use format currency function, and the first part of this function is the actual expression that we've used to get the data from the query. Then we have a comma and then the precision. So the precision will be 2 decimal places, and then we can close the bracket. OK. Let's go and look at the form now and see that this property management fee is now formatted to currency. Completes the second form. In the next video, I'm going to look at testing the forms.